Welcome to Weekend Wisdom. My name is Tracy Whitney. I am the content director for creatingafamily.org. Weekend Wisdom is a short podcast that we offer every Saturday morning where we answer a specific question sent to us by a listener. Today's question is, I love my child so much, but lately I am feeling emotionally worn down and shut down in my parenting. Someone mentioned that they recently learned about blocked care, and now I'm wondering if that's what's happening to me. What is blocked care and what can a parent do about it? So, anonymous listener, thank you for your question. I want to acknowledge how vulnerable and stressful it must feel to say this about yourself and then to reach out for help, even in an anonymous way. I want to normalize this conversation for us right off the bat because many of us who are raising kids that have experienced trauma, abuse, neglect, and other adverse life experiences feel this deep well of love and care for our child, but we also still feel emotionally worn down or shut down. When we are feeling shut down, irritable, or numb or distant, it can bring an extra sense of exhaustion and even additional shame to the load that we are already carrying. And that's really challenging to navigate. So blocked care may explain what's going on in your parenting experience, especially if you are raising a child who has experienced any kind of significant trauma, loss, neurodivergence, any of those things, because the stress in our homes is basically chronic and it just feels like it's unrelenting. So I want to give a quick disclaimer that we are not mental health professionals. I, by no means, am a mental health professional. So we can't diagnose you or give medical or mental health advice or care. We do want to say that if you are feeling hopeless, unable to function, or have other more dire feelings of harm or hopelessness, please contact a mental health professional or a doctor right away. Do not let yourself continue to suffer in those ways. So all of that disclaimer being said, it's really valuable to talk about what blocked care is and what we can do about it. And I will add that we have a free online course specifically about this topic, and I will link it for you in the show notes. So let's dive into it. The definition of blocked care is that it is a self-protective stress response in a caregiver's nervous system. It develops when chronic relational stress overwhelms our capacity to stay open and connected. Our brains shift into survival mode, which would be fight, flight, or freeze, for example. So it's important to clarify that it is not a lack of love. It is not a character flaw. It is a biological stress adaptation, and it develops gradually over time. And again, this is why I say I hope you feel comfort in knowing that you are not alone. This happens to many parents who are handling chronic stress in their homes. So why does it happen more often in trauma-related parenting? Well, it happens more often because our kids experience more frequent and more chronic dysregulation. It happens because there is a more consistent rejection of or lack of reciprocity in relationship between us and our kids. It happens because we have to be constantly vigilant about their care and their safety and our own regulation and their regulation. And it also happens because there's limited access often to restoration of that relationship and support for that relationship, not just within our homes, but around us. So I want to talk about the common signs and symptoms to be looking for, and we can break those common symptoms down into 3 categories. The first would be the emotional signs of blocked care, which would include mental and emotional numbness, emotional flatness, kind of no affect, no emotional response, irritability or anger that escalates quickly or maybe out of proportion to what's going on, a dread of certain times of day, like knowing that bedtime is going to be just a mountain to climb every day, or feeling like you have nothing left to give. So there's also what we would consider kind of the cognitive signs or the mental space that you're in. Always thinking negatively or catastrophizing your thinking about this child or about the condition in your home. It could be a very harsh internal dialogue towards yourself or towards the child. Not that you necessarily would speak it, but you're constantly rehashing those thoughts in that negative pattern and that negative cycle. Loss of hope would be another cognitive sign. And then an increasing comparison of yourself and your family dynamic to other families that are around you. Even if those other families aren't living with chronic trauma or chronic stress or that constant dysfunction in relationship, you're comparing yourself to them internally and you're just always coming up short. And then, of course, there are the behavioral signs, and that would be emotional withdrawal, as the anonymous listener pointed out, increased sense of needing to control what's going on in the home, or increased rigidity about control and about how things go in the house, avoiding connection in the home or outside of the home. And then kind of swinging between over-functioning and under-functioning, or over-functioning and complete shutdown. It's important to remember and to interpret these 3 different categories of signals as the fact that your system is asking for support. These are your body's and brain's way of saying, something's not right inside and I need help to function and cope. These are not signals or signs of failure. And I want to just keep stressing that. Blocked care is not a character flaw, and it is not a sign of failure on your part. So let's talk about what we can do about it. And the very first thing is what you did here in writing to us today. And it's to remove the shame of it and name it for what it is. Naming it and increasing your awareness about it reduces your reactivity to it. It shifts you from, I'm a bad parent, because remember, it's not a character flaw, to my nervous system is overwhelmed. And it's telling yourself as often as you need to that blocked care is treatable and reversible. So the second thing that you can do about it is to regulate your nervous system first. Blocked care can improve when a caregiver's stress response is stabilized or reduced. Reframe self-care as regulation. Many of us kind of have this mentality about self-care that it's pampering and indulgent and luxurious spa treatments and things like that. If you can flip that to self-care is regulating myself and taking care of my nervous system, then it's not an indulgence, it's not an escape, it's maintaining and caring for your central nervous system. And so there's a couple practical resets that you can do that would be self-care as regulation. Number 1, take 3 slow, deep breaths before you respond to dysregulation on your child's part. Number 2, you could try just taking a brief pause in the car before you enter the house, kind of giving yourself that transition space. I'm going into the house now, and I'm going to stay regulated and calm. I'm leaving my work stresses in the car, and I'm walking into home ready to be present for my family. Another step that you could try to reset is to just take a quick minute to go outside and do some deep breathing outside in the fresh air. It's really helpful when the fresh air is very cold too, because it's a good reset. And speaking of cold, another reset could be to run cold water over your wrists or put an ice cube on your wrists. And that just kind of resets your nervous system and says, okay, let's think about this differently. Or you could take a short walk around the block. Take the dog with you if that's restful and calm to you. If it's more stressful to bring the dog with you, don't do that. Another thing that you can do is to build rhythms, not rescues, into your day. So have a 5-minute practical reset that you do every day, whether it's at night before you go to bed, you kind of reset the house, or in the morning when you wake up, you're setting your expectations and your plans for the day to be regulated, to buffer yourself, to take care of yourself. Another rhythm to build into your home is to maintain predictable routines for the whole household. So have a schedule that the kids and the partners all know is this is how we do our morning routine before everybody leaves for work and school. This is how we do our lunchtime routine. This is how we do dinner time and dinner time prep. This is how we do bedtime. Keep it consistent, keep it predictable for you, because that's a huge benefit to not having things set off all the alarms in your regulatory system, but it's also really good for your kids. You could have a weekly support call, whether that's with a therapist or a parent coach or a counselor or just a really good friend who gets what you're going through. Set up like an appointment that you make with yourself, a regular call for checking in with that person and letting them ask you hard questions and then just giving reports as you keep this practice up. Another rhythm to build into your home and for yourself is to find something that you love, whether it's music or prayer time or journaling or quiet instrumental music before you start your day. Some families enjoy yoga time privately or as a whole family unit. Whatever it is that you can look forward to and that you can plan as kind of a treat for yourself that is refueling and rejuvenating. And then a last one to consider is maybe figuring out how to have a few minutes of quiet time alone before everyone else in the house wakes up. That's really hard for me. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not a morning person at all. I prefer my quiet alone time at the back end of the day. And so I'll read for 5 or 10 minutes in a devotional book, or I'll crochet quietly by myself, for a few minutes before I turn my phone and alarms off for the day. But find something that you can do that gives you that quiet, peaceful time before everybody wakes up or after everybody's gone to bed. In all of these things, the goal is to remember that small steps toward consistency are better than intensity going all at once, which can be its own form of dysregulation if you don't monitor it carefully. So small steps can build that sense of maintenance and care for your regulatory system. The third thing to remember when addressing blocked care is to separate your child's dysregulation from yours. And this is hard. I understand that. When you're escalating because they're escalating and then you're escalating more and then they're escalating more, it feels like a vicious cycle. So try to remember when dysregulation is happening in your home that two escalated nervous systems increase disconnection rather than decrease escalation. So practice anchoring yourself when your child is ramping up in a dysregulation. So you could say, I need 5 minutes and I'll come back and handle your dysregulation after I've regulated myself. And it's okay to use that language with our kids. It's good for them to see us modeling these regulation practices. You could also say something like, I'm feeling very dysregulated and it looks like you might be also. Why don't we each take 5 minutes and then come back to talk in a more regulated way? When you use that language, you're normalizing that everyone gets dysregulated, but you're also normalizing that we can come back and repair. These brief pauses that you give yourself are a gift to your regulatory system, but they're also a gift in that they're modeling practices for your kids. Your regulation models not just good, healthy habits, but it also models safety for your child, which can often be at the root of why they're feeling dysregulated, is maybe they're not feeling safe. Number 4 is to reduce chronic stress wherever you can. Strip it out of your calendar if things from your outside calendar are pressing in and creating stress. So look for small changes that can reduce the cumulative stress. Lower any non-essential expectations that could look like simplifying routines and clearing calendar obligations. But it could also just look like, okay, so I would love it if they made their bed every day, but it's become a source of dysregulation for me. So I'm just going to say, whenever they make their bed, that's a cherry on top of the sundae, and let it go. Good luck. That's a hard one for me. So decreasing power struggles whenever possible is also a great way to reduce chronic stress. learn how to share power when it's appropriate, or when to just disengage and say, this is not a battle I'm willing to fight. And then identify the patterns that trigger the most depletion that you feel. So, for example, the bed making thing. If you know that them not making their bed every day is a trigger for you, you can say, you know what? I don't care if you make your bed or not, but please just shut your door before you leave for school. And then you can just reduce that trigger altogether by walking by a closed door and then training yourself that whatever's behind the closed door is their business, not yours. And you don't have to worry about it. That's a silly example, but for some families, it might be kind of an open door to a pathway that really helps them identify where they're finding triggers most commonly. And number 5, increase the support around you intentionally. I mentioned a little bit ago to have like a weekly support call. Blocked care thrives in isolation. So when you surround yourself by folks who can show up for you and support you, you are coming right up against that blocked care intentionally. You need support, not willpower. You need care, not more rules. You need tools to regulate yourself, not more shame for not regulating yourself. So you want to look for trauma-informed support groups. You can check out facebook.com/groups/creating a family. We have a very active online community, and I think, do a pretty good job of supporting and encouraging each other with strategies and vulnerability and honesty about where we're at as parents and caregivers. You should also consider looking for adoption and trauma competent therapy. And we have resources on the Creating a Family website that we can link for you in the show notes about what trauma-informed therapy is and how to find one. Look for respite care. That's another one that is huge. Find a friend that can just come and hang with the kids for 2 hours once a week, so that you can go for a walk in the local park or take a crafting class or go to a Bible study. And then you could look for weekends away with your partner and mix it up so that you're getting the care that you need. Whatever you do, look for ways to have honest conversations with people that you trust, that aren't going to use your concerns or your worries about blocked care against you, people that are going to support you. So not just support groups, not just therapy, but friends or family that can be trusted with this information and that can be trusted to offer care to you physically, like helping out with groceries or helping out with laundry or taking the kids to the movies on a Friday night so you can just, stay home and get caught up on laundry or whatever. And then also look for medical or psychiatric support to take care of some of the physical symptoms that you might be feeling. Some of the physical symptoms of chronic stress can really mess up our bodies. The anxiety can have a significant impact. Depression, shutdown, numbness can have a significant impact on our physical bodies. And so you want to make sure that you're working through that with a medical or psychiatric professional as well. And finally, number 6, build reconnection into your home in like micro moments. Don't set an expectation for yourself that you're going to just get through this blocked care and then you're going to have this great, healthy, nurturing relationship between you and your kid. That's going to set you up for more frustration and feeling of failure. And blocked care is not a sign of failure. So you want to set yourself up for success by looking for small ways to repair the connection with your child or your children. So that would be like 5 minutes of low demand connection, reading a chapter book, 1 chapter a night to your child at bedtime, or sitting on the floor and playing cars and trucks for just 5 minutes. Parallel play is a great way to build reconnection. So coloring at the kitchen table together on a rainy day, rolling out cookies together, doing puzzles at the table, doing your own separate puzzles, but in the same space, or doing a puzzle together, things like that. Shared humor is always a great way to build reconnection. You can be sharing funny memes, texting each other funny stories, reels, cute puppy videos, babies laughing together. Oh man, babies laughing is like the secret sauce to getting everybody else in the house laughing together. Dumb comedy sketches. My kids love the Who's on First, What's on Second. they have it almost completely memorized. They can just quote it in a minute, and it kind of breaks the tension, and it just makes some really funny moments together. You could also try sitting together on the couch without any pressure of interacting, but you read while they're gaming, or you play a word game on your phone while they're playing a video game, that kind of thing. And then always incorporating wherever you can throughout the day, small, safe eye contact moments that say, I see you, I'm here, I'm with you. And continuing to message that short sentences, eye contact, caring voice, those kinds of things can repair and rebuild that relationship. When you're building back in that relationship, you want to focus on being safe and being mentally and emotionally present for yourself and for them. I want to leave you with some hope and encouragement. Again, blocked care is not a sign of failure, and it is reversible. Start small, just pick one thing to try today, and finally reach out to a friend, a faith leader, or a safe relative to kind of process this all with them. Supporting yourself is the hard work of parenting. And when you're parenting a child who's come from very difficult circumstances, you deserve a safe landing place to recuperate your strength also. And that's why it's so important to talk about blocked care and what we can do about it. Thank you for sharing your story and for looking for answers to strengthen your family. We have many resources on our website about true, nourishing self-care and how to kind of build those rhythms in your home. We also have resources on how to be the best parent you can be and building a network around you to help you do that. I'll link some of them in the show notes. And listeners, again, if you have questions about adoption, foster care, relative caregiving, self-regulation, co-regulation, all of those things, I would love to hear from you. Please send them to info@creatingafamily.org. And thank you so much for listening today. I'll catch you all next week.